Hey guys, now we're in our current Excel, or in a brand new Excel workbook titled Book 1, and it has been zoomed in to 150 zoom value to make sure we can see all the information that we're going to cover in this video. Now, just to go ahead and cover what I like to use as my default versus what Excel uses as a default, Excel has letters across the column headers A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I prefer numbers. This is just a personal preference. I find it easier to work with when transitioning from Microsoft Excel worksheet environment to the VBA environment to the Power Query environment, but that's just me personally. So to go ahead and cover how to change these from letters to numbers, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Go to File, navigate all the way down to Options. From Options, we go to the Formula tab. From Formula, we go Working with Formulas, and we just change it to R1C1 reference style. And we click that box, and we click OK. And now we've got numbers across the top as opposed to letters. Again, this is just a personal preference. I just find it easier to work with. It's really whatever works better for you. But let's go ahead and get started here. So to begin with, we're going to create the first of 3 fields that we're going to wind up modifying in the very end. This one's going to be year and month. And then within that, we're going to put in the current year, which is 2023, and we're going to leave the current month blank. Now we're going to highlight select everything using Control A on our keyboard, and then create this as a table using Control T on our keyboard. We always want to double check to make sure the header box, my table has headers, is checked. Sometimes it's unchecked by default if it gets confused and doesn't think you have headers, so it's always a good idea just to go ahead and check this. You want to click OK, and this will create our nice little table. Now, because I believe in naming my tables every single time I create one with a relevant name to make it easier to reference later, we're going to go ahead and do that really quick. I use the naming convention TBL_ for naming my tables for quick reference. And we're going to name this one Focus Date, and we're going to press enter. And now we're going to do a little bit of formatting for this. We're just going to center it, do Control-Shift-L on our keyboard to turn off our filter values, and we're going to add a nice border. And we're going to highlight these as our input values. This is just under the cell formatting style, and it's just my personal preference to call attention to the fields, the actual cells that I'm going to change the values in. Now below this, we're going to create the index columns, and we're going to do index value 1 through 12. 1 for each month of the year, being January through December. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now we're going to create a months column, and within the months column, we're going to create, we're going to convert this to a table using Control T on our keyboard, excuse me. Again, checking to make sure the my table has headers box is checked, and go ahead and press enter, which will select OK. Again, we're going to go ahead and name our table TBL, and we're going to name this one months. Always plural when you have multiple values. This is just my personal preference, but it makes it easy to tell the difference between a month and a months, which is multiple results. I'm going to go Control-Shift-L to turn off our filters, and go ahead and add our nice border and center everything up. Now, because we're not going to be using these values, we're going to click them as neutral. But this is going to be useful for visual reference of we're not going to change these once we've created them, because they're going to feed off the other values that we're going to create. So now we're going to create the date values, and for creating a date, we type the equal sign. We type the formula date, and we press tab on our keyboard to open up our formula. We type the word year, tab to open up the formula function, and we're not going to be using the year function. We're going to be using the year value from this particular section within the array, or the table that we're going to change the value of. Now, for the month, we're going to be using the value immediately to the left-hand side of this, which is the 1 value. For the day value, we're going to create it as the first. Now, when I press enter, this is going to auto-populate the table with the formula going all the way down. Because I didn't already go ahead and change this to format as the correct format, this sets the numeric value as the number of days past January 1st, 1900, which is Excel's default for a year value. To make these look like dates, it's very simple. We just highlight them all, and we go up here to our date, and we change it to short date. Now, we're going to widen this column just a little bit because we're going to do an extra step here to make sure that this information is useful when applying to the folder, referencing the folders within our system, because currently within Windows we can't use these slashes, so we need to change these from slash marks to dashes. And that's very simple. We just type in text, or we add it to the existing formula. We type in the word text, we press the word tab to open the parentheses, we go to the end, we press comma, we're going to open our parenthesis or our quotation marks to put in the formatting we're going to apply. 2-digit month, MM, dash, 2-digit year, DD, dash, 4-digit year, 1, 2, 3, 4. Close the quotation marks, close the parentheses, and when we press enter, everything is nice and formatted to resemble our files and folders that we've already created. Now, we're going to go ahead and create the named range, which we're going to use here. Now, for this is even easier. We're going to type in the equal sign, TBL underscore, and now we've got a choice of the two tables that we've created. We're going to choose months, and in order to pick just the column that we want to draw the information from, we want to open a bracket, and this will give us our flyout menu. Now, from the flyout menu, we want to choose the months column, tab on our keyboard, close our bracket, and press enter. Now, because I've got I use Office 365, and some of you may be using an older version of Office, what just occurred was what is known as spilling of the formula. Now, if you don't have Office 365, it's a good likely chance you'll get a error or calc error because all this information can't be held in one cell, so it's not able to spill. This is not really a big deal because we only need this bit of formula right here. So we're going to highlight it, copy, and cut, and we're going to exit, and we're going to go to our formulas tab right here. We're going to go to define name, define a name, and we're going to type RNG for our named range, and we're going to call this months. Now, within the refers to section, we're going to highlight that, and we're going to paste in the formula that we just copied from our formula bar, and we're going to press OK. Now, if we go back over to our table and we delete it, but we press our equal sign and we type RNG underscore, we get our named range that we just created. Again, if I tab to complete this and press enter, it will auto-populate down, but you'll probably, if you have Office 365, this will auto-populate down or spill. If you don't have Office 365, this will still throw a funny error, and I don't remember what it is, and I apologize for that, but it's not really an issue because we're going to delete this because now we've got it where we need it. We're going to click on our cell we want to add the data validation to, go under data, go under data validation, and choose data validation. From the data validation editor, we're going to choose list and type our equal sign and type F3 on our keyboard. F3 on our keyboard is going to bring up our name, paste in our names within our workbook that we can paste in. We're going to choose the named range we just created, RNG underscore months. Click OK, and that's going to give us our nice little drop down This is going to give us the ease of only being able to navigate to the files that is chosen here, or the month options that are chosen here. Now, the reason why I wanted to change this to an input value is if we just change this to 2024, dynamically our date values are going to change, and then our value here is also going to change. So we'll be able to modify this just once within each year, every time the year clicks over. So we're going to go ahead and pick up in our next column. We're going to change the width of this column down to 1 just to add us some space in between it. And we're going to figure out what is our main folder or source folder that we're going to store our information in. We're going to call this source folder path. Within our source folder path, we're going to set this named range up as RNG source folder path. Now we've got a quick reference to that actual cell and the content within that cell. Because this is going to be our source folder path, we're going to open our folder explorer. We're going to navigate back to our information storage, our report framework, and this is going to be our main folder path. If I just click in this formula bar right here and copy it, close it down, and quickly paste it into our file. Now we've got a text structure that shows our main folder path we're going to be using in just a moment. Now we're going to create an index column. I do love my index columns, I'm sorry about that, but it does allow for quick references. So we're going to create a folder names, a hyperlink choice, and a hyperlink column. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly adjust those column widths to let's say 15 for right now. Within the index, we're going to put a 1, and let's go ahead and change this to text or general. That'll work. And go ahead and center it up. So for our folder names, we're going to reference the folder we want to access, which is going to be our activities folder, and we're going to leave the hyperlink choice blank for right now, and we're going to leave the hyperlink blank also because we're going to fill that in just a moment. Change the column width down to 1, and now we're going to create a table that houses our values that we're going to reference within our hyperlink choices. So these are going to be our hyperlink options, and we're going to go with index 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go with text to display is going to be folder, year, and month. And we're going to create this as a table, so Control T on our keyboard, and because it's accidentally guessed wrong, we're going to adjust the range and make sure we selected our headers and our data within our table to be created, and click OK. I'm going to go ahead and name this. We're going to go with TBL, and we're going to say this is going to be our hyperlink options. And we're going to get rid of the filters and go back here and apply a little bit more formatting. And we're not going to change these values, so we're going to change it to neutral. Perfect. Now we're going to create a table over here. So we're going to highlight all our information, Control T on our keyboard, click OK. And we're going to turn off our filters, name our table TBL, and what did I decide to name this one? One moment. Table design and table folder choices. Perfect. And we're going to go ahead and highlight everything again and go ahead and add some borders. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to create a data validation list that will allow the user or limit the user to just these options that we want to include here. In order to do that, we're going to create another named range, and we're going to go ahead and shorten that just to make sure everything's split apart. So we're going to go with TBL, hyperlink choices, open a bracket to choose our column, which will be text, close our bracket and press enter. Now we've got our formula that we need, so we just copy that. We go to formulas, define names, define name, and define a name. And we're going to go with RNG, hyperlink choices. And we're going to paste in our formula. And click OK. We're going to delete that because we no longer need it. And now we're going to go to data, data validation again, choose list, type our equal sign, and type F3 on our keyboard. And now we've got our named range to select, RNG, hyperlink choices. So click OK. Now we've got a solid choice for the user to pick from for month, day, and year. Now we're ready to create our hyperlink choices. This is a little bit more complicated, so I'm going to go down and create a little bit more information. Also, I'm going to go ahead and format this as add a quick border around it just for looks, and we're going to change that to neutral because we're not going to change that. We're also going to change these values, which we're not going to change. We're going to change them to neutral and change this guy to our input value because we are going to be using that as our input, meaning that we'll be able to change that to whatever we choose to choose from in our drop-down value. So we're going to go down here and we're going to create our 3 options, and this is going to be our source folder. Actually, we're going to start off with the concatenate if you're using an older version of Excel. Actually, we're going to go ahead and use the concatenate formula. These are actually the exact same with very few changes. So we're going to use the concatenate folder formula. We're going to click on our named range, which is our source folder path. We're going to add a backslash or to it, and then we're going to choose our formula option. Now, because this is not going to be as dynamic as I would like, I'm actually going to delete that and type in row, column, RC, row 5. And because we're going to copy and paste this, actually we're going to go ahead and add row 5. And that's going to give us our row and our 5 and our column. Row 5, column 5. Perfect reference. And we'll change that in just a moment. So that's our first reference, concatenate inner. And actually I'm going to go ahead and line this up to make this easier to read. And now we've got a reference to our folder in which we are targeting based upon the folder name that is referenced here. And we're going to go ahead and copy this down 2 more times because we're just going to add a little bit more values to it. We're going to add another bracket, and we're going to add the year value by clicking within the table right here. Then we're going to add another slash, and we're going to add the chosen month value, which is, oh no, I'm sorry. We're going to stop at the year, and we're going to move on down to our month, and we're going to add our slash, backslash, and we're going to choose our year, and we're going to do that, and then we're going to choose our month. And now we've got our 3 options or 3 choices that we're going to be making based upon this value to populate the hyperlinked information. Now, we're going to do a little bit of extra formatting here to create a formula that's going to reference that. So we're going to do index and match. index will take on an array of information that we're going to look up, get a value from. Our array is going to be our data within our hyperlink choices options, and we're going to match the lookup value of this right here, this choice. Actually, we're going to change that to be row 5, column 6, excuse me. And we're going to look that up within our array right here. We want an exact match. We're going to close our bracket or close our formula parentheses, and now we're going to return what column? The first column. Now, this is going to return 1 because 1 appears as index value, or the folder value returns index right here. If we change this to be year, this changes to 2, and if we change it to month, it changes to 3. Now, one awesome, super awesome thing we can do with this is use the choose function. The choose function takes on an index value, which is actually going to be this right here, which we're going to do a placeholder of 1, and we're going to feed in our 3 different options we created for our choose, and get just a little bit more real estate up here. Now, we've got our choose function. We're going to say 1, and control or alt enter, 2, alt enter, 3, and close. And now we're going to copy our formulas that we created right here, excluding the equal sign. Copy, go back into our choose function right here, paste it in as our choose option number 1, copy our second value right here, go back into our choose option number 2, go back in here, copy our formula for our month, and go back into our choice right here and paste it in. Now we're going to go ahead and press enter, and we need to capture our formula that gives us our numeric value for what we chose. Copy that, and we're going to press enter, and we're going to come in here, we're going to replace that with our index value, and we're going to go ahead and delete our unneeded information. Now, as we change our value, we get a nice different options. This is going to be the data that we're going to use within the hyperlink function. The hyperlink function, we're going to press enter and do hyperlink. Hyperlink location is just going to be 1 for right now. Our friendly name is going to be hyperlink, and we're going to close that, close our bracket, press enter, and now we're going to copy all of our formula that we created before, go back into our hyperlink function, making careful not to click on the hyperlink text, but click in the cell beside it because it will follow the hyperlink, and we don't have one right now. And go ahead and press enter once we paste in all of our formula. Clean things up, and now we've got, paste this right here. There we go, and delete that out. Now we're going to modify our formula just a little bit to make it more dynamic, so as we drag it down, it will follow the formula, the folder names that we're going to create later on. So we're going to drop out the row because we're going to use the relevant row. So where we had hard-coded in row 5, we're just going to do relevant, leave it as relative to where we currently are. So if you leave it blank, it's column 5, but it's the row of wherever you currently are. Press enter. Hey guys, I just needed to make a quick modification to this video because there was an error on the hyperlink function beforehand, and I realized why. It's because I had not yet saved the file, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. We're going to go under File, Save As, and we're going to navigate to our desktop, our information storage folder, our report framework folder, and we're actually going to save this as a macro enabled template file, and the reason for that is because we want to be able to reuse this over and over again. Navigate back to my report framework file, and we're going to call this one report framework template version dash for v1 for version 1. Now that we've got our file saved to the correct location, our correct saved as the correct type and in the correct location, our hyperlink function will work. And now we're in the folder option. We navigate to the year option, click hyperlink. We're now in the year folder. As you can see, 2023, each month within the year folder. And now we're going to navigate to the month folder and click that. And now we're in the February 2023 year month folder with all the files that are shown within. Sorry about the quick modification of this video, but I do want to give a full demonstration of the hyperlink function and that it does work correctly. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day.